So I made this backpack and I wanted to share with y'all just how I did it.
You know I had to hit you with the casual Draculaura cosplay for this video, but more importantly, I wanted to give a big thank you to Big Z Fabrics for sponsoring this video. Yes, y'all, this is my first sponsored video and I got to make a backpack. So I'm gonna show you how to do that using their fabrics.
So first, we're not even going to start with fabrics. We're going to start with this big piece of paper and draw a huge circle. I just use this basket of yarn because that's what I had. And we're going to use that to make a heart. Then we're going to cut it out and then we're going to lay that on the fabric and trace it so that we can have the perfect shape of a backpack. You kind of just estimate the size that you want with this. Once everything is cut out, we're going to have to get our rulers and draw a bunch of straight lines on the heart. This part was a little tricky and you're probably like, dang, my fabric's ruined, but nope. Because we're using this hot pink soft vinyl from Big Z, we are easily able to wipe off all the pencil markings later. This type of fabric is more often used in upholstery, so you know it has to be easy to clean, and I'll show you how to do this a little bit later. I don't like this, and I really didn't want to hand stitch it, but I'm gonna have to go back to my roots. Here's a closer look so you can see what I mean. It's so wobbly and it's not even the only issue. So I really do just have to scrap it. Anyways, I had to cut out an entire another heart, and this time I did do the checkered lines because, you know, I had to really build up to hand sewing this because I knew this was going to be a pain in the butt. Got my wrist brace out because, you know, we're going to need it if we're going to push through this thick fabric. And I used one embroidery floss that I had, but I didn't really like it, so I switched to a darker color, which I think matched the fabric a lot more. I really don't have any tips for this one because it's just really hard and just takes time. Turn on some YouTube or your TV, something, because it's gonna be a while. So she's done, but you can see the marks from the pencil. I originally thought I was gonna use Clorox to get rid of this, but it kind of like bleaches the embroidery thread, which I don't like. So I'm going to be using this soapy water and this toothpick. I'm super sleepy, so this is bruh, you're so forgetful. A Q-tip. I'm gonna use this Q-tip. Now I am gonna go in and wipe away all the little pencil markings. This was the easy part, I'm not gonna lie to you. This is not bad at all. So next, if you look at Draculaura's backpack, there is another heart-shaped ring around the checkered heart. So I just used a larger sized heart and then cut out a little bit smaller than the shape of the heart I just made. And now that I have that, we're back to hand stitching. And don't be a little goof like me and not draw a heart-shaped line around it to follow. That was actually difficult. And now we are making the wings, which we are using this really cool black chrome fabric from Big Z. I actually really like this one because it's pretty reflective. So what we're doing is we just cut out the shape and then we are placing it on a sticky piece of foam, but you could just glue it if you don't have sticky foam. And now we're going to get to the part where I realized part of the reason the pink fabric was sewing so bad was because I didn't do this little trick where you take some tape and you put it on the bottom of your presser foot. This will help it glide so much easier on this black vinyl, especially if you don't want to go and get the proper foot, because I'm cheap and lazy and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to use tape because I already have it. And you also need to adjust your sewing machine. Just make sure you have loose tension and you have a long stitch length. So once that's all together, you're ready to go and start sewing on this cool fabric. All we're doing is just making an outline, which I'm not going to show you because this needs to be precise. And when I record, it is just a struggle. And of course, I broke my needle. Once everything is sewn, we are going to glue some vinyl to the back side of the foam. We're doing this because I didn't feel like sewing through all that thickness. It's already breaking a lot. So, you know, just gluing it saves a lot of stress. Then we are painting around the edge of the wing just for some extra black coverage because you can see the white bits. And now I'm going to move on to the next part. So when I haven't made something before, I like to look at something similar to kind of get an idea of how things are put together. So I'm looking at this bag. Yes, it's a My Chemical Romance bag. But it has the general aspects that I want of my heart-shaped bag. I want to have a zipper opening at the top, and I was kind of curious how this was actually put in the bag, and I realized that on the side there are two different sections. So I just happen to have a hot pink separating zipper. Don't ask why. And I am going to be sewing this to either side of two panels. We are using clips. Yes, they are lock clips, but that's what I got. You really shouldn't be pinning stuff, even though I'm going to be doing it later. Once we have the zipper sewn to each one of your panels, we are going to attach that panel to either heart, which I forgot to show you that I made a heart for the back. And this one was more challenging because I had to add the straps in that little, I don't know, the little circular strap on the top. And this is basically me trying to fit it in between the panel I just made and the back of the backpack. I eventually did get to sewing it on the machine, which was a pain. This was hard. Like sewing the black chrome fabric was tricky, but this was actually hard because it's so many layers. But really all I can tell you is to go slow and be patient, because if you mess up here, it's going to show. And we're going to have to do the same thing with the front, sewing the zipper in. Also, before I forget, I did clip the inside where the curves were just to give the fabric a bit more flexibility. So I would definitely recommend doing this. Yeah, so we're adding the wings, which was tricky because I was trying to figure out the perfect place to place them. And then I did pin them. I've been pinning. I can't help it. I'm pinning this stuff. But I have to pin this. And then I also need to pin the fabric along the edge, because we're basically going to make two separate panels that are going to be the bottom of the backpack. There really isn't that much to explain about it. It's just really tricky to do because you're like working from the inside out and it's confusing, but let me try to explain. So what I did was I decided to pin the panel on the front side first. So I did one on one side and one on the other side. And I decided to do that before worrying about the back. Once you get to the back, you're going to have to flip the entire backpack inside out before pinning them on. And that's the best way I can explain it. Really, this is the part where you need to study a backpack you already have, because that's the only reason I figured out how to do this.
And with that, we are all done with the backpack. I am actually pretty happy with how it came out. There are some issues I have, I can't lie. Probably would re-sew some things. I also would definitely add some cardboard to help it keep its shape. Right now, it's keeping its shape because I stuffed it, but that is perfectly fine for cosplay.